taps it over to Allen as the siren goes now and the Hawks win.
91 was a super year for us, and we won a lot of games of footy, and we came up short on that last day. It was a bit of disappointment because we'd been, I think, clearly the best team all season, but we hit Hawthorn, you know, who were an experienced group in that space, and it's fair to say we didn't get everything right in the run in the finals. We lost that first home final against Hawthorn, which put us on the road and really put us on the back foot in terms of getting the ultimate prize. So we learned from that game, but there was certainly a resolve within the group to want to then push on and get back there and go one better. We come back and Mick was Mick. Mick wasn't compromising on anything. He was, you know, it was fair to say that post the grand final there was some pretty brutal feedback that came, you know, our way and the individual's way. So when we came back, I thought we just sort of hit training with that purpose of, you know, of wanting to keep getting better and let's now chase getting back there and trying to get our hands on it. When I got injured initially, it was like we didn't probably know the significance of the injury, and I went to try and train on and play again, but quite clearly I couldn't run. There was something going wrong, and so initially I was pretty frustrated because 91 had been for me a bit of a coming of age as a player. I'd had a disappointing start to my career. In 91 I was able to play most of the games and probably establish myself in the best team, and then when I got injured it was that disappointment into, right, what now? And really all I could do was focus on the rehab, and for the team it was good to see the team then hit their straps, and we started to win some games and push on, looking like the finals. But my focus was pretty heavily on getting my rehab right and getting my foot right and then getting back into the team. And it was like understanding it's a hard team to get into. So, you know, I was probably driven the whole time through my rehab, understanding that I need to make sure when I come back I'm fit enough to play the role, which, you know, I was playing as a midfielder, running with generally the opposition's best mids, and with a foot makes it hard because you can't run. So then when I did get back to being running, how did I actually get enough load in to make sure that I was getting ready for AFL? So, you know, early days started in the waffle, and then, you know, after a couple of weeks there, I was fortunate enough that I got selected and I was back in the team. But you could probably have an argument I just jumped on at the right time at the end of the season with about 4 or 5 rounds to go, and you know, experienced that last 10 weeks.
Seconds ticking away now. It's all over. The Eagles maybe allowed a little celebration tonight. The Hawks campaign comes to an end, as it did a couple of years ago. The Eagles will continue on in their fight for their first flag.
That to me was the biggest game, especially given what had happened the year before. We played them back at Subi. We'd lost the year before in the same game, but this one was do or die, and it was almost, I know personally I had a really strong desire to make sure we got that done because they were the barrier and we needed to get past them, and you know, to the team's credit, we were able to do it. It was a ripping game of footy, and I still remember, you know, sort of the end of that where I think I might have luckily snapped one late and Langdon nearly lifted me off the ground and threw me. You know, it was one of those feelings whereby we knew that was the first step, but it was an important step.
The Hawthorn players arrived back in Melbourne in the early hours of this morning, sore and disappointed, but not disgraced.
You know, we had the opportunity to go through for the double chance, but Eagles have got it, and I think they'll win from now.
You think the Eagles are favourites?
I think they will.
5 hours before the grand final started, the Eagles fled their hotel to go for a jog in the Fitzroy Gardens over the road. Bermude's Cats supporters on their way to the MCG were able to size up the opposition as the players loosened up.
They do look smaller, don't they? You know, don't look so ferocious. Hope they stay that way when they're out in the field.
Out the Cats! Out the Cats! We'll have smiles from ear to ear.
In 95 years, the Premiership pennant has never left Victoria. In just a few short hours, history might be made. From Perth on Australia's west coast, the Eagles have arrived for their second successive tilt at glory. They are the favourites, a tough, match-hardened combination in just their 6th season in league football. From Corio Bay come Geelong, 133 years old and looking for Premiership number 6. They've waited 29 years for this moment. They know what to expect. Today, Australia stops for a football match. But what a match it promises to be. The Eagles of the West Coast against the Cats of Geelong in the 1992 AFL Grand Final.
The 92 Grand Final is underway. Stone drifts to the 50-metre line. Stoneham can go on from 52 metres. Stoneham towards goal. Like Matera, he pulls it badly in towards the pocket, and it is taken over the line by Worsfold.
Worsfold's going running for the ball, and Ablett's 2 or 3 metres behind, and I've decided to shepherd him. Now, I'm not sure, it's obviously the adrenaline, the excitement of the moment. You know, Ablett v me, you'd have your money on Ablett, he'd be $1 favourite, but I thought I'll just pick him off here on the side. No intent to do anything other than just shepherd him off, but he didn't see me. As I get there late, he sees me, he just raises the elbow, and of course, rather than run into Ablett and knock him over, I run into his elbow and not lights out, she's all over.
Eagle is down, Ablett collected him, that's Pyke. Yeah, they'll have to stop the game here.
Well, Peter Carey's still calling for the ball to be thrown in, Dennis, which is very strange. It's dangerous there at the moment.
The whistle. Stretcher they need the stretcher, yes, for Pyke. He collided with Ablett behind Worsfold, who was playing the ball close to the boundary line. Pyke valiantly trying to get to his feet now.
There was a period where I was unconscious, but by the time the game stopped and the doc came out and the stretcher came out, I was conscious enough to know that I didn't want to exit the MCG on a stretcher. I was arguing with the doctor at that point about I'm not getting on the stretcher. The rules were that if the stretcher came out, you had to get on it. It's because of the fact that people were bringing the stretcher out to stop the game. But he said, no, you got to get on there. So we talked our way through that, and I got on the stretcher, and then off I went. Then I'm on the boundary line, and he asked me a couple of questions. Obviously going to do what was almost a prehistoric concussion test, but he said, let's run one and see how you're going. And he said, right, first things first, I need to know what the score is. And so I looked up at the scoreboard. I said, look, it's 1-2 to 1 point, whatever it was. And he's gone, no, Don, what's the score? I really need to know what the score is. It's 2 to a point. You could see the look on his face. I thought, I haven't got this wrong. And eventually he turned around, looked at the scoreboard and caught up with the game. So I got that one right. And then he asked me where we were and he asked me what day it was. And I obviously got enough right because then before long I'm sort of running up and down the boundary line getting ready to go back on. And 15 to 20 minutes later and I was back out in there.
Pyke back in business.
And that's just how it was, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
It's a game of possession now with only seconds remaining. Evans may have the last kick in this grand final. The Eagles are going to win their first play.
I can't remember who kicked the goal, but we kicked one was clearly, there was the sealer and then there was the double sealer. It was like, there's no way back from here, and I think we all sort of knew, and it was just, when it finally went, you sort of were in this, especially after the last year where we'd been beaten and we were disappointed, it was like that release of going, okay, we've finally done it. And the special part of being the first team from outside Victoria to win it as well, and the journey we've been on as a club and as a team to get to that point, then it just spills out with everyone. So you've got all the guys who weren't playing ripping on the ground, you've got the guys who obviously did play getting around each other, then you've got all the staff and you've got the coaches, and everyone comes down and there's just this mass of all these people, and that's why you play, that's why you're involved, is you get a chance to enjoy it from everyone who's been part of it.
10, Don Pyke.
Did the lap 1 or 2 quick. We should have spent longer out there because we were back in the rooms before we knew it. We're all that pumped up and excited. We just sort of whipped around the lap of honour, whereas nowadays they take their time. It was a big night, as you'd expect, but it was almost weird in that, you know, for a lot of us, you wanted to actually savour the moment. I think probably the days afterwards where we probably, certainly for myself, you know, you probably got into a bit more drinking and a bit more of the celebration of it. And I know a couple of other guys were probably the same. It was almost like, let's just enjoy this for what it is. From there, you've sort of got little minutes, and it's a moment you have with an individual that it's hard to explain, but that's what you get. You know, it's just you've done a lot of work with these people, and now you get there, and it's like you're able to share it, and you can't really describe it, but we chase it.